small town. Huntsville is my native town of birth. But we moved to Houston very early. Didn't come up, and we lived in the CUNY homes. 3312 and a half Winburn was the address. And we lived upstairs. And I could never think of a time when we felt less than others just because we were there. We were never latchkey children because Mother and Daddy always had someone to come in who was a member of the family that they helped, who was an older person, and that was the individual who was kind of like there with us. They did it early years. I remember my aunt, the father's sister, who came when we were living at 2304 Elgin, or 2403 or 2403 Elgin Street there in the vicinity of Ryan High School. I mean, it was Jack Gates High School, now it's Ryan Baylor School. That's where my youngest grandson graduated from. So it was when you instill in the youth, youngsters, self-esteem, let them think, let them spread their wings, and then give a few words to them of guidance along the way. I think we may have more successful adults or children when they become adults. And even though mine may have not known that that's what I was doing, I was trying. It was a matter of not giving everything. You had to earn some things. So I looked at the great accomplishment of my parents. My daddy being a 25-cent shoe shiner boy from up in Huntsville, came here and along with Mother, having 11 brothers. I think she saw to all of their children as best she could, and to them until the death of the brothers. The children, she couldn't keep up with all of them, but it was a concern of hers. And I do believe that that's where I learned and from the giving, caring, concern. And then when I went over started Wheeler Avenue, from Jerusalem Baptist Church, where Reverend Lawson was, and he later started the congregation there at Wheeler. Well, parents moved there, so that took us there. And later, I started attending there because it was closer to where we lived, and we've always lived in and around the 3rd Ward. They talk about Emancipation Street and Emancipation Park. My early swimming lessons with Daddy, who was a Navy man, 1945. Walked out of the door and I said, oh, there's my daddy coming home from the service. And he was coming up the street, he'd been discharged. So strong background, strong family, bringing up in the church, putting us in touch with the people that we should know. And of course, it doesn't say that we didn't veer from that. Oh, we strayed. But we very soon came back to the way that we were being taught. And I do admire them so. It started and began with doing a lot in the community, especially with in the area of civil rights, working for others. And I was kind of brought up that way. Out of 11 children in a family, my mother had 11 brothers and 1 sister. I was always called upon to help, to service. And as I came through Jack Gates High School, graduate in 1955, to do various things while there. In addition, I left and went off to college. Because when I was up in Ohio Wesleyan University, where I never wanted to go, I wanted to go to to Howard, or to Fisk, or Hampton, a black university. But Mother was trying to put me into an environment with other people of other colors. And those were the times, you didn't ask me, but that was the time that I learned how to fly well. The things that I had to come up in contact with and oppositions against me, jobs, went to a job, was overqualified for the band minister when I was at University of Minnesota, and the man says, Well, you can, but we don't need you in terms of, it was color related. So I've had direct uh, involvements with the no word and the understanding that not you, we need someone else or to get someone else. Um, One thing that got me mentally charged again was the situation involving uh, George Floyd and how he came to his death. Not so much how he came to his death, but the similarity of what and how um, our lives, even though we never met, I knew members of his family from a neighbor across the street and from a relative that attended Jack Gates and his that neighbor, relative's wife. I'm from Huntsville, Texas, and would never had a challenge before me that I didn't take on and try to do something about. And I suppose that's why, and one of the reasons when Eldridge Stern asked me, I had met him, he was a graduate of, it was either Michigan State or University of Michigan, and was presently enrolled in the law school. And there was forming a group that came to be Student Protest Movement on Texas Southern University's campus. A number of our originators are now deceased. Holly Hogan Brooks was one, and I can't remember the names of some of the others, except that in an apartment that I think, I don't know, Otis King had not arrived from service, but we began to meet, organize, and the big thing was that we were trying to decide our approach and what we were going to do first. I have to laugh about it because Drew's comment to me was, when I would make suggestions, that I was just the secretary and I wasn't supposed to give my opinions on what we should do. For me, those were kind of like revved up fighting words, because I'd been raised in a home by parents who allowed me to extend as far as I was able to and always think highly of myself. And if I thought it and wanted to try it, I could do it, and they never discouraged me and were very supportive when I began to get involved in that action. And they were ones that I thought about. Once we got arrested, some of the students did get arrested, or pictures were taken of us down at Wine Gardens. But we knew that the Greensboro 8, I think they were called, were coming into town. And that's what we were trying to plan for, and learned that bus had been stopped and the students had been hurt and injured as a result of their attempt to go from state to state or city to city. But it didn't stop us. We went through with this. The core group of 9, we had the protest in the sit-in at Wine Garden store on Alameda Street. And sitting on that lunch counter next to Halcyon Sadberry, it was her name. Yes, her name. I remember holding my arm up my hand up, trying to conceal my face, because I didn't want anything that I was doing to in any way damage or affect the parents. Of course, they never seemed to care about it. It was more of communicating with them and letting them know what I was doing, and they gave me more encouragement to continue. Because of the Emmett Till situation and the family that went in to assist with that, and were the Jewish family, and they were killed. Many things during my years have impacted me and my involvement in and with rights of and for others. The things that we were trying to accomplish and that we did. Something else that fired me up. One of my classmates, someone I love dearly, the Johnson family, her brother Leotis Johnson, had been sent to prison as a result of having one marijuana cigarette and other things. Very intelligent family. And to the best of my knowledge, her younger brother had been, his life was taken early as a result of a situation where he was trying to do what was right. So there are many things that I've lived through that have affected me deeply. And I can't sit and not engage in trying to see and do the part that I can to make these things work. So when he's deceased now, W.O. Bell from over at Texas Southern called the 9 of us in, originators, wanted to let us know. And the informer editor-in-chief then, at the moment I can't remember his name, but he was a part of the group. They were letting us know in the news that the city was going to open up and it would be integrated. I accredit that to the fact that the doers and shakers here in Houston, Texas, did not want to occur what had happened in larger cities. So I could see through it, but then I was very grateful for it and respectful about it. I remember riding on the bus, and if a white citizen would get on with or without a child, and there was other space on the bus, and look at me to get up, I didn't have to get up at that stop, but suddenly the next stop, it was not a place that I was ready to get off at, but it was that I couldn't get up and give my seat to someone who was wanting it when it was plentiful. So many things that I have done to keep going forward with in mind, trying to uphold and keep the dignity of the people. When I was at Texas Southern, I was a chosen one to go to the police department because I presented well. And they thought that I would be a force in bringing others of color into the police department. There was one other young lady with me. I don't know what her inspiration was for going there other than the fact that Janelle Freeney Scott, I think she just wanted to be a policewoman. But they asked me to go. Shell Oil Company asked me to come there. But the choice, I was encouraged by Dr. Henrietta Bullock, my sociology professor, to go to the police department. I didn't have any regrets, but policing wasn't what I really wanted to do. But the many things that are taking place in this world now, I must say, defunding the police isn't the way. I've listened to what the present mayor is saying and others. A committee of people who are engaged in activities and committees in the community are better at sitting at a table as long as one doesn't try to hear all of the different opinions put into this pot and come up with a solution that will help and be sure to involve the police officers. If you're talking about them, then they don't need they need a union, as the Black Police Officers Union was started by Humphrey. I'll think of Humphrey's name. He was a graduate of Wiley College and a cousin of his from down in Anahuac. But I'm saying that we must learn to listen and not think we know it all and can give all of the solutions. And must be multiracial, multicultural. Houston is, in fact, according to what I can see and observe, one of the most diverse cities in the world. And we need to take pride in that and understand it and try to continue with it, going on with that in life, to not just be a selfish and all black, the blacks, condemning our own race, our own group, because there are too many fine people. And the businesses that I've seen close down, quickly let me address that. Every place I've been, I can think of kids here in this city that I've grown up with and gone through high school. Their parents were small business people. They no longer have the business. They were landowners. They no longer have that property because people they had to sell it to pay for this, to pay for that, and other things to sustain themselves. But there were the shopkeepers, the hat makers, the florist, the people who arranged the wedding planners, the photographers. Oh my gosh, where many of them, Mr. James Teal, I have pictures on my wall of me and my brother when we were youth. Mother took us to Mr. Teal to take pictures. He had an office, a studio downtown, across from a theater that was downtown Houston that no longer exists. So we had a community downtown where blacks had businesses, the drugstores. I cannot leave this without saying that some of the families whose families started out, that their parents the children became biracial, their great-grandparents were biracial. People left them properties that they later became heir to, and there were those who tried to take advantage of them getting that property in some of the most productive or profitable areas in the city of Houston. So, or coming down even from Anahuac, Texas and all. So we have grown, but we need to keep growing, and don't always think of, I've gotten this, then let me sell it and see what I can get for it. Keep it. Rent the space that it's on, even if you have to tear the structure down. Don't give it all away. Keep your heritage, keep your namesake. So those are things that are inherent within me, and now I sit here, as I said, and I'm thinking of whoever it is that is part of my heritage. If you want where I am now, come over here and work for it, and it's yours. And I can think of all of the books through life that I've read that emphasize during early high school years and childhood days, where we learned of becoming. Well, let's just use the words of becoming. That means that you had to start someplace, and you're now someplace else, and you're still going to be coming until you leave this earth. So life is, I can't say life has been bad. It's been a good life. And I'm so thankful to have been there, and to be here now, and be able to speak to others about the road and the growth. And you have to sometimes not hide your pride, but you have to listen. Listening is so key in growing up, in becoming. You must hear others. And then once you've heard them, because just someone speaking words and you thinking that you hear what they're saying, you aren't really listening. You've got to hear what is inclusive of those words that have been spoken. Go spread your wings, but let me, if I can, give you wisdom that can help you to have whatever success that you do, and you can go fly as high as you want to. You've got to believe in yourself. That's one of the greatest gifts to any young person that I can give, that you can go. You don't need a lot of the things that you think you do, the electronics and even the things that I don't even utilize a great deal of now. You need yourself to think it, and you can do it.